Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahaba Kajura, but first are the headlines. Police blocks Bobi Wine and team from checking on hospitalized MP Sewanyana in Mulago Hospital. Minister passes Namuganza censored over contempt of parliament. African laboratories training rats to quickly detect tuberculosis. In our sports news today, Frank Katongole wants to use AFCON Under-20 as a launch pad for his career. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Please start with one of our top stories. Security personnel have barred NUP President Robert Chagulanyi's Sentamo and team from checking on ill hospitalized Machindi West legislator Alan Sewanyana at Mulago Hospital. We have the report.
Sewanyana, a lawmaker for Machinde West, has been hospitalized to Mulago National Referral Hospital while suffering from a serious illness. Joel Senyonyi, the MP for Nakawa West and spokesperson for the National Unity Platform Party, has verified the development. Senyonyi claimed in an interview that the MP, whose health has been worse over time, was covertly brought into Mulago from Murchison Bay at Luzira Prison. Senyonyi claims that preliminary information indicates that the lawmaker has lung problems, is unable to walk or stand on his own, is in excruciating agony, and needs specialized medical treatment. Senyonyi continues by saying that security personnel have barred his family and co-workers from entering the hospital room where he has been admitted. At the time of this broadcast, only the Lord Mayor of Kampala, Erias Lukwago, who also serves as his attorney, was permitted to see him. Sewanyana and his Kawempe North counterpart, Muhammad Segilinya, have been imprisoned for more than a year on various charges, including murder, attempted murder, aiding and abetting terrorism in connection with the 2021 murders in Greater Masaka.
Apart from that, Parliament yesterday censored the State Minister for Land, Housing and Urban Development, Princess Persis Namuganza, over derogatory remarks and disrespectful conduct. We have the report. Out of the 356 MPs in the House to vote, 348 MPs voted in favor of censoring Minister Namuganza. 5 voted against the motion, while 3 MPs abstained. This follows a recommendation by an ad hoc committee that the minister be censored for her role in the Naguru-Nakawa land allocation and contempt of parliament. In their report, the committee led by Mwene Mpaka stated that Namuganza failed her duty to all times conduct herself in a manner which would maintain and strengthen the public's trust and confidence in the integrity of Parliament. Following investigations, the Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline last year found Namuganza to have specifically insulted the leadership of Parliament for instituting an ad hoc committee to investigate her over the Naguru-Nakawa land allocations. It was alleged that Namuganza also took to social media and television questioning the operations, powers and integrity of the presiding officers of Parliament to form ad hoc committees. The Select Committee said it found prima facie evidence confirming that the conduct of Namuganza's breached the standards of behavior and conduct expected on a member of Parliament. The committee recommended that the minister step aside, falsifying a presidential directive that saw the Uganda Land Commission allocate the said land to a section of investors. Well, thank you so much, reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In international news today, Burundi's President Evariste Ndayishimiye attended on Sunday the Congress of the CNDD-FDD, the powerful and highly militarized party that has been in power since 2005 and warned against corruption in the country.
Speaking in the country's political capital, Gitega, Ndayishimiye warned against corrupt leaders in a country that is struggling to remain afloat amid its tough economic times. President Ndayishimiye said that until then, certain people claim to be leaders or executives in the government but are only stealing from the state, which is a big problem in their political party. Ndayishimiye used the 3-day summit to rally support for the ruling party, especially at the grassroots level. The ruling party will now have an office and governing bodies at the level of zones throughout the country. He also called upon credible leaders to join his party. The ruling party also resolved that there will be a restructuring in the provinces. A new general secretariat of veterans will be established at the national level.
Away from that, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was welcomed by his South African counterpart for talks in Pretoria on Monday. A continental powerhouse, South Africa has resisted Western pressure to condemn Russia and defended its neutral stance on the conflict in Ukraine. According to the press briefing ahead of the meeting, the talks would help strengthen the already good relations between the two countries. Last year in 2022, the two countries commemorated 30 years of diplomatic relations between South Africa and the Russian Federation. The rich history of their relation dates back to the period of the struggle against apartheid, which the people of South Africa fought in their quest for political and economic freedom. South Africa recently assumed the chairmanship of the BRICS, a grouping that also includes Brazil, Russia, India, and China, to challenge the dominant US and European-led global governance structures. Last week, it announced that it will host 10-day joint maritime drills with Russia and China off the port city of Durban and Richards Bay in February. Moving on Friday, Madagascar's northeastern city of Sambava that was hit by the tropical storm Chinoso was still under water and more than 700 houses have been flooded. According to the National Office for Risk and Catastrophe Management, preliminary reports indicate that one person is missing. About 300 people have been evacuated. Diana, Sava, and Analangiro for regions were placed under red alert. Jean Claude, a farmer, asked the state to improve the draining of flood water so that in case of rain, it can flow away. Tropical storm Cheneso made landfall in the north of Antalaha town in Sava region on the northeastern coast of the island on January 19th. After landfall, the storm headed southwest with average winds of 90 km per hour and wind gusts up to 120 km per hour. It's Madagascar's first tropical storm of the 2023-2022 cyclone season, which runs annually from October to April. Heavy rains and strong winds persist, but the cyclone is thought to be weakening. Moving on, Burkina Faso's army has freed 66 women and children who were abducted earlier this month by Islamist extremists while gathering food in the country's northern Sahel region, according to a state television report on Friday. National broadcaster RTB reported that armed forces had located the hostages during a military operation in Center North region. The group included 39 children, with 4 infants among them. Authorities have said they had been out of the countryside gathering wild fruit near the town of Abinda in Soum province when Islamic extremists kidnapped them on January 12th and 13th. Security sources say they were found in the Tuguri region, 200 kilometers farther south. Helicopters flew them to Ouagadougou, where they were met by senior army officers. Extremists have besieged towns around the West African country, preventing people and goods from moving freely. The town of Abinda has been under jihadi blockade for years, making women more vulnerable to attacks if they try to leave, rights groups say. The military junta that seized power in September, vowing to restore security, is still struggling to stem the violence. A study conducted. Thank you so much, our reporter. We'll take a quick break. We shall come back with business, health, and sports. Welcome back for the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In a business news today, Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni arrived on Sunday in Algeria for a 2-day visit as two nations look to build a strategic partnership, and Italy works to further wean itself of Russian energy with help from the gas-rich North African country.
Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni was greeted by Prime Minister Aimene. Like all ranking visitors, Meloni's first stop was laying a wreath at the Monument of Martyrs. The monument on a hilltop overlooking the capital commemorates Algerians who died winning the country's independence from France in 1962. Algeria has replaced Russia as Italy's #1 energy supplier, and Rome is looking to boost that partnership. However, topics such as naval construction, cars and startups were said to be a Meloni's agenda, a sign that two countries might deepen their cooperation. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, which upset global strategic and economic dynamics, gave a new and urgent dimension to ties between Algiers and Italy, long dependent on Russian energy. Other European Union nations have also scrambled to find sources of replacement for Russian energy.
In a health news today, in laboratories in Tanzania and Nairobi, rats have been trained to sniff out tuberculosis, already known for finding landmines. The rodents could now transform the way the disease is detected. A study conducted by Apopo in 2016 compared the accuracy of the rats to that of standard methods using in laboratories such as smear microscopy, bacteria culture tests, and GeneXpert, a rapid test for tuberculosis. The African giant poached rats work with scientists at the Apopo Project, a Belgian non-profit organization in Tanzania, because they can detect the smell of the deadly disease. Joseph Soka, program manager for TB and Apopo, said that the sensitivity of these rats is as high as compared to microscopes and as compared to other tests, and that their sensitivity is independent of HIV status. Apopo is already known for training rats to find landmines, but training them to detect TB was new territory when they adopted the program back in 2008. Now the animals work in 21 medical centers in the Tanzanian capital Dar es Salaam, as they are thought to be faster in detecting the illness than standard methods. According to the World Health Organization, TB claimed the lives of 1.6 million people in 2021, including 187,000 people with HIV. The disease is the 13th leading cause of death globally and the second leading infectious killer after COVID-19. It is hoped that use of rats might do away with the need for time-consuming microscope testing. Thank you so much, reporter. In a sports news today, Frank Katongole is working hard to mark the final squad for the Hippos that will play at the forthcoming Under-20 AFCON finals in Sudan.
The defensive midfielder Frank Katongole, a student at St. Mary's Kitende, was part of the team that played in the qualifiers in Sudan late last year. Katongole said that his target is to be part of the team, play well, help the team achieve the target of winning the trophy, and also launch his career to attract suitors. Katongole admires former KCCA SC Villa and Express midfielder Nicolas Kasozi in Uganda for his game intelligence and the way he plays in the defensive midfielder role. While abroad, he is a big fan of Chelsea's N'Golo Kante. Katongole, just like his teammates, will be looking to do better than the 2020 squad that reached the finals of the competition under the tutelage of Mole Biekwaso.
Thank you so much, reporter. It is at this particular time that I thank you for being part of us and always joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We should keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.